Greetings, YouTube. I apologize for the poor lighting, but I didn't want to disturb Mandarin. Today's story comes out of Idaho. A 15-year-old boy threatened to kill all the girls, and the police took this threat seriously. They locked down the area, and they have charged him with a threat of violence at school and a telephone harassment charge. The teen in question used social media to spread the information that he intended to come to school and kill people, specifically girls, with one particular cheerleader in mind. And he threatened to say that he had a 12-gauge shotgun and a 9mm pistol, and he also possessed hunting knives. No adults have been charged in this particular event, so we don't know if he actually had access to these weapons or not, but he made a legitimate threat. Now, why did he say this? For what reason did he say that he wanted to, quote unquote, kill all the girls? Well, you see, they wouldn't send him nudes. That's it. He wanted nude pictures of his classmates. And because they would not send him nude pictures of themselves, he threatened to kill them and everyone else, to the extent that he told people to make sure they had a will in place. Now, I don't know what kind of a will a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old is going to leave in place, but it was a viable threat because his people have said, just leave us alone kind of thing over social media. Why they did not immediately report him, I'm not quite positive. Maybe because they're 15-year-olds, they don't quite understand how things work. But there was documented exchanges going on here. So not only was he threatening people, but he apparently wasn't overly bright. Then again, if he was smart, he probably wouldn't have asked classmates to send him nudes, which would themselves be a sex offense. But I'm not going to speculate what this person was thinking. Apparently, he doesn't have a lot of key cognitive abilities. But why do I bring this to the attention of my subscribers and my viewers? I bring this to your attention because I think that this is a quintessential example of male entitlement. Male entitlement in action. This boy wanted something. He wanted it specifically from women. He didn't get what he wanted, so he decided that the most viable way of achieving his ends is to use violence, or at least the threat of violence. We don't know if he was ever going to go through with it. Let's pray he wasn't. Let's pray this was empty words. But he had in his head that the threat of violence would help him achieve his ends. And as anyone who's viewed my channel for a while will tell you, I'm going to see this as a direct connection to toxic masculinity and the patriarchy. Now, no one ever sat this boy down and said, son, when you want something in life from women, if you don't get what you want, threaten to kill them. Or just go kill a few, then you'll get what you want. No one ever said that. But in a million different little ways, society, the patriarchy, has shown him and told him that the only viable expression for a man is violence. That men cannot express themselves in other manners. Now, there are lots of ways of expressing yourself in life that don't involve violence against people. You could take up wood chopping if you wanted, I guess. Be violence against wood. But there are also ways that don't involve adrenaline, that don't involve that kind of focused rage in the form of physical action. Okay? So some people say, oh, you should take up sports. Well, that's just another form of violence for the most part, especially if it's a contact sport. And you run the risk of hurting other people, particularly if one of the members of the group is actually trying to work out some actual internal violent issues. But there are lots of other means of coping with our problems. Now, I was a self-harmer. I hit things, I broke things with my bare hands, and I wrote poetry. So no one else suffered through my teen years except myself. Or maybe my readers. Who knows? There's music, there's art, there's talking to people. They're seeking professional help. There are lots of means of expressing yourself and of coping with internal struggles and complexities. But the patriarchy tells men, it told me this, that violence is the most effective means of solving a problem. I'm telling you, I designed 1,000 ways to kill my father. 1,000 ways. I got really good at figuring that kind of thing out. There's a reason I can look at objects in the world around me and design them into weapons, folks. Now, I just do it as a hobby now. But I gained the skill because I wanted to kill someone. That's where I got it from. Now, I don't want to kill anybody anymore. It's just a hobby. I like to do construction. I like to make things. I like to move things with hand. I like to shape a piece of metal into something it wasn't. And that's cool. That's fun. I don't want to hurt anybody. Just not not in me anymore. But there's a reason where that came from. It came from the patriarchy. It came from the school of thought that fostered and fosters toxic masculinity. This boy didn't get what he wanted, so he threatened to kill people. That's not healthy. That is not how we can have a healthy society. And we need to do something about that. And one of the things that we need to do is tear apart the patriarchy, to disassemble toxic masculinity, to raise boys to understand that they are allowed to feel sad, and they're allowed to feel melancholy, and they're allowed to feel conflicted, and that there are much better ways of coping and expressing these things than violence. That they can cry, they can wail, that they can write and draw and paint and sing and build and talk and act on stage. That they can channel all of the things that they don't understand is going on inside their own skull through means other than violence against themselves or other people. And here we have a key example. Toxic masculinity in action. And we need to do something about this. And ignoring it, or saying that it's feminism, is not solving the problem. This is not a problem that women have created, and yet the misogynists of the world would have the women solve it. This is a problem that men created. So the men of the world are going to have to solve it. We are going to have to tear this down and eliminate it. We are the source of toxic masculinity. We are the supporters of the patriarchy, and we need to end it. Women can help us, but they didn't do it. They didn't create the institution, and we need to disassemble it. We need to take responsibility for what we have done and we are doing and what we aren't doing. Because most of the men in the world are ignorant of toxic masculinity and the patriarchy. And those that aren't, most of those are opposed to ending them because they think they need them, and they don't. You don't need it. There are better ways of expressing yourself. There are better ways of thinking and being and feeling. And my suggestion is you go see a cognitive behavior therapist, because they will give you the tools you need to handle your own toxic masculinity and your own programming and training at the hands of the patriarchy. So then you can become an ally in the process of ending this. So, go forth, learn about yourself. Show the world that you can be better. Show yourself you can be better. Be